Hi, Year 4. It's nice to be reading with you and back reading Journey to the River Sea again. So I'm going to continue with chapter 20 and get to the end of chapter 20 so we find out what exactly has happened to Maya now. It was the Indian side of Finn that had taken over when he found her in the wood, that managed to carry her to the landing stage and lay her down in the Arabella, that bandaged her leg and made her swallow one of his bark potions, and then cast off, telling her to sleep and sleep and sleep. Sometimes the European side of him protested and told him that he ought to take her to the hospital for proper treatment, but he took no notice. He knew now what was best for Maya, and he was right, for now, as she woke beside the dog, she was herself again. The fear and exhaustion had gone from her face. "I'm hungry," she said, and smiled at him. She had escaped through her high window. The gash on her leg was made by the broken glass as she scrambled through. The doors were already smouldering when she woke. "I don't remember much after that. It was the smoke, I think. I know there wasn't anyone in the huts." "Why not?" said Finn fiercely. "They promised me they'd look after you." "There was a wedding, an important one. They all went, and Minty, she went somewhere too," said Maya. "She's left me." "No!" "What do you mean, no? She wasn't there. She didn't come back from her day off." "Maybe, but she won't have left you. That isn't what will have happened. What about the others?" "They escaped. I saw the river ambulance take them away, but I hid. I couldn't bear to be with them anymore. They were all quarrelling, screaming, so I hid in the trees. I didn't notice my leg at first, but then—" She shook her head. "But it doesn't matter, Finn. None of it matters because you came back." They set a course back up the Negro and then turned into a smaller river, the Agarapi, which flowed northwest to the lands where the Kenzie had last been seen. It was a beautiful river. They travelled between small islands where clumps of white egrets roosted or clouds of tiny pearl grey bats flew up from fallen logs. What amazed Maya was how varied the landscape was. Sometimes they sailed through dark, silent jungle where all the animals were out of sight in the topmost branches. Sometimes the river would wound through gentle countryside, almost like England, where swamp deer grazed in grassy clearings. Once they passed into the patch of scrubland, and they saw a range of bare brown hills in the distance before they plunged into the rainforest again. "If this is the green hell of the Amazon, then hell is where I belong," said Maya. She was completely happy. When she took the bandage off her leg, she found a mulch of some strange green mould which Finn had put there, and beneath it a wound which was almost healed. "You really ought to be a doctor," she said, "or a witch doctor, perhaps." "It's often the same thing." She had cut the bottom of a pair of Finn's trousers and borrowed one of his shirts, and Finn had pilfered a roll of cotton meant for the Indians, from which she'd made some kind of sarong for her when she was in the water. The night dress she'd escaped in had been torn up for cleaning rags. Everything she owned had been destroyed in the fire, and she missed nothing except her toothbrush. Scrubbing one's teeth with twigs is not the same. She trusted Finn completely. If he said a pool was safe to swim in, she dived in without a second thought. And the dreaded piranha fish did not tear at her flesh, nor a caiman come at her with snapping jaws. If he told her a mushroom was safe to eat, she ate it. "My father had this thing he used to say to me," she told Finn. "It was in Latin. Carpe diem, seize the day, get the best out of it, take hold of it and live in it as hard as you can." She pushed back her hair. "After he died and my mother, I couldn't do it too well. There never seemed to be a day I wanted to seize all that much. But here, yes, some of the places are right for one. Your mother was a singer, wasn't she?" "Yes, but she never made a fuss about it. I never remember her saving her voice for the performance or gargling with eggs and all that stuff. She'd just sing in the house, in the garden, anywhere." "Everyone says you ought to get your voice trained," he said, and frowned, because if she had a future as a singer, perhaps she shouldn't be taking off into the unknown. She shook her head. "I'm all right like this." "But you won't miss music?" "Well, there's always music. You just have to open your mouth." They stopped to make a fire in a little bay and cook the fish they'd caught earlier. "You had good parents," said Finn. "So did you." She steadied the pan on the flames and poured in the oil. "Do you think there'll be someone in the canty who'll remember your mother?" Finn blew on the embers. "I don't know. We may not find the canty," he warned her. Maya shrugged. "It doesn't matter, but if we do, will they accept me? I don't have any Indian blood." "Well, if they don't, we won't stay. I wouldn't let anything happen to you. I've got my gun." "I'm not scared," said Maya, and she wasn't. She'd been scared of the nastiness of the twins and being shut up in the Carter's bungalow, but she was not scared of travelling through the unknown lands with a boy hardly older than she was herself. She thought perhaps she wouldn't be scared of anything ever again if she was with Finn. They didn't hurry. Their route led to the west and the forests of Japora, and each night Finn laid out such maps as he had and the notes his father had given him. One thing stood out. In a fork in the river was a small island with a jacaranda tree standing between two tall kimu palms. If they found this marker, they were in Zanti country, but how far or near it was, they didn't know. All the same, they stopped again and again. Finn wanted to collect the plants. He knew he could sell, and he was teaching Maya. He climbed to the top of the leaf canopy and came back with clusters of yellow fruits which could be boiled up to treat skin diseases. He found a tree whose leaves were made into an infusion to help people with kidney complaints, and brought back a silvery fern to rub on aching muscles. Most of these plants had Indian names, but they sorted their specimens and put them to be dried and stored in labelled cotton bags. Maya learnt quickly. "You'll be amazed how much money people give you for these in the towns," said Finn. But not everything he collected was for sale. He restocked his own medicine chest, also, and every day he bullied Maya about taking her quinine pills. "Only idiots get malaria in the dry season," he said. "I think I ought to cut my hair off," said Maya one morning as she tore yet another tooth out of Finn's comb. "No, that's a bad idea." Maya looked up surprised. "But you wanted Clovis to cut his hair." That was different. They talked of Clovis often, and it was Finn now who wondered if they'd been fair to him. He's either shut up in that awful place or he's confessed and been thrown out. Well, at least he's in England, and that's what he wanted. But she could see that Finn who was afraid of nothing else, Wedgwood was still a dread. "And if he's been thrown out again, it'll all start again, I suppose," he said. "More crows, more hiding." "Well, they won't find us here," said Maya. They were anchored between two islands in a kind of cave made by the overhanging branches of a pono tree. A pair of otters had been diving around the boat. The frogs set up their evening croaking. It had been a magical day. They'd seen a family of terrapins sunning themselves, a pair of harpy eagles. There had been a gentle following breeze to help them, and the rain that sometimes came down, even in the dry season, had held off. "You know, you said you used to wake up every morning in the lagoon when your father was alive and think, 'Here I am, where I want to be.' Well, that's how I feel when I wake up on the Arabella." Maya did not care whether they found the Kenzie or not. It was about arriving for her. It was about the journey. Even the sadness about Minty deserting her had gone. For Finn, who had almost kidnapped her, there were moments of anxiety. He should have told someone that Maya was safe, instead of taking her away without a word. But gradually he stopped worrying and gave himself up to the journey. And if Maya knew deep down that she would not be allowed to sail away forever up the rivers of the Amazon, she managed to forget it. She sang as she worked, and when Finn whistled, "Blow the wind southerly," she smiled, because she had been wrong to be cross with the wind. The wind had brought him back, and she was content. And when Finn complained at the end of the day that they had not come very far, she said, "What does it matter? We've got all the time in the world," which is not always a clever thing to say. Right, that's the end of chapter 20. Moving on to chapter 21. Interesting. We are getting so close to the end now. Be sad to finish this book, but it's been a great book, hasn't it? Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I will read you the next part really soon. Bye!